Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another round of Mind Your Fucking Business with your host, Jeffrey Krinsman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks, from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New
Thank you.
Jersey. You are welcome, sir. This is the Mind Your Pucking Business broadcast brought to you by our good friends at the Bamboozle Project as well as DraftKings. We encourage you to check out the bamboozleproject.com. Go on their website, shop their wide array of materials, merchandise, whatever you may need, MYPB and other cool stuff. Use promo code MYPB at checkout and save yourself 20% off your order.
You saw Laugh wearing our beanie, right?
I did. I did.
Check out the Instagram account.
Yes. And you can thank DraftKings as well. This is episode 155, Ciento Cincuenta y Cinco on the Spanish dial. So for those tuning in with a Spanish feature, we welcome you and I hope you enjoy this week's episode. You can send us your questions at any time to mypbshow@gmail.com, or you can go the more popular route, which is way more popular, and that is DMing us on our Instagram page, commenting on our Instagram page, anything Instagram related, and you can find all of that at Mind Your Pucking Business, all one word, on the Instagram platform. You can watch the show live if you'd like to see camera work and see why we have faces for radio. You can go to YouTube for that. You can go to Facebook as well and Instagram. And you can listen and stream us on any streaming device via Spotify and iTunes. I think we got it. I think we ran the gamut there.
Yeah, it was a great intro.
Yeah.
You're back on track with the SAP dial.
Oh, the SAP dial. Yeah. I have worked. I shouldn't say that I have worked. I wish I had a way to get my Spanish speaking better when we do the intros here.
Yeah.
It's just never going to happen.
It's
never going to happen, and I can't fool people because Ranger fans are too smart. That being said, so we were on last week on Wednesday, the day before Game 6, and if we go back to when we were last on, and we're taping today's episode on Tuesday, May 21st, but if we go back in time to where we were when we saw you last, the Rangers were about to head to Carolina for Game 6, and the Rangers had lost 2 games in a row. And what was concerning to me, and we said this last week, was the fact that in Game 5, they didn't show up. And that was the concern going back to Carolina. I would have felt a little bit better, I think, had they played a competitive Game 5, maybe lost 3-2, maybe even lost in overtime. But they were never really in that Game 5. And so the series shifted to Carolina. And really, for Game 6, the first 50 minutes of it, so, 5/6 of the game, that trend continued. The Rangers were just not crisp at all. Passes were simple passes out of the zone were not being connected. Stuff was being thrown in front of the net on the defensive end. It just was awful. And I'll tell you, because people asked me this, and this is going to probably maybe, I don't know if this is the right or wrong answer, but I'm brutally honest on MYPB, that when I was watching the game, I sat in my seat where I usually watch games in my house, and I never in those 50 minutes, from what I recall, screamed at the TV, showed emotion. I didn't. I just was sitting there watching, and I was angry. And I'll tell you why I was angry, and this is going to be a dumb reason, but this is just the way my brain works. This was Thursday night. And if Carolina went on a hold on and they had a 3-1 lead in that game and won, and Game 7 was going to be 8 p.m. on Saturday night. And I was annoyed thinking that the next day, all day Friday, and then all day Saturday in between activities that my kids had, I was going to just be stressed out and in a bad mood waiting for Game 7, waiting for the final shoe to drop on choking a 3-0 lead. That was what I was thinking. And then what happened with them winning the game 5-3, it almost like, I know we could look at this. I don't know if this was posted anywhere, but I'd be curious to see this. Not time in the game, but at like what time PM was it when they were down, when Kryder scored to make it 3-2? Maybe it was 9:20. The game probably ended at 9:47 when they, after they hit the empty netter. Like all of it happened so fast that, I mean, it really did. And it was almost like when it was over, I actually spent like time just trying to figure out what happened, even though I watched it. Like, I mean, obviously we all watched it and saw what it was like. So it, I mean, you give them credit. You give Chris Kryder an enormous amount of credit. I mean, B-Rock and I were talking, and I know people that hear B-Rock's name, and I'm just going to reiterate one thing about B-Rock because I think it's important when I say what I'm about to say about the conversation we had. B-Rock is a Devils fan. So for B-Rock to be discussing Kryder's performance and if he's headed to the rafters, will tell you that it obviously was a special moment for Chris Kryder. It probably wasn't. B-Rock said it, and he's right. It probably was his legacy moment. Like if his career ended today, like if he said, you know what, I went into 7-Eleven, I hit the $1.3 billion Powerball, I'm out. I don't need the money. I don't need to do it to my body. I'm out, right? His legacy moment for Chris Kryder, and there's been a bunch of them, but this is far and away his greatest performance. I mean, I don't even think it's close. I don't think that it automatically sends his jersey to the rafters. Like I think it was Steve Valiquette, who I do like, I think said on the post game, and this was probably talking on an emotional high and adrenaline, which was, hey, you know what? You just saw it. The next stop for Chris Kryder is the rafters of MSG. I'm not buying. I'm not buying that at all. But it was a great job by him in that third period, obviously. And for the team, like it's the kind of thing when you look back at this series, and I'm just being honest here. If you had to sell me, okay, that the Rangers were definitively, key word there is definitively, definitively the better team in that series versus Carolina, you might have a hard time selling it to me because game one, that Sunday afternoon game where Mika had a game, the Rangers came out flying in the first period. They had a 3-1 lead in the intermission and then set back and barely won. So they were the better team in the first period in game one, not in the second and third period. Game two was the Trocheck double overtime winner. I could argue probably that game was 50-50. Game three, they were not the better team in Carolina, and they got lucky in the sense that the Panarin overtime goal on a tip, if you asked him to do it again, I'm not sure he'd be able to do it again. So they were not the better team. Game four, they were the better team and lost. Actually, I thought game four might have been the best game they played the entire series. Game five, they were never the better team. And in game six, they were only the better team for the last 10 minutes of the game. So if you want to sit here and claim that the Rangers walked through the Canes, it was so easy, yada, 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 I'm not sure I'm buying that. But again, I think that it shows that, again, this team will fight. So a couple questions from Instagram. We'll take Nick next. Why do you think this doesn't guarantee his numbers in the rafters? He's first in goals overall in the playoffs for the franchise. All right, Nick, I'm going to ask you a question in return because this was the discussion we had here, and you can put the answer in the comments. Stefan Matteau's goal in 1994 versus the Devils is still talked about today. It's replayed over and over. Would it be still played as much? Would Stefan Matteau be a cult hero if they didn't go on the next series and beat Vancouver? Right? I think, Nick, you have a better argument to put Chris Kryder's jersey in the rafters because of that moment if this year's team goes on and wins the cup. If it doesn't, are we going to sit there and say, hey, you know what? Chris Kryder had a great performance, one game versus Carolina. He clinched the series, but I don't think it automatically gets his jersey retired.
Let me ask you this. Give me a moment in time where there was a fantastic performance that didn't result into a Stanley Cup that you can remember.
Repeat that again.
So just like you're saying here, he had a great performance in this game, but if this season doesn't result in a Stanley Cup win, those moments kind of are B+ moments. They're not A+ moments. You know what I mean? Yeah. So name one.
Name one that went away.
Oh yeah, that was a great moment.
Derek Stepan. Stepan's double overtime goal in 2015 versus the Caps in Game 7. Great moment. Remember it vividly. The face-off coming back to the point as Stepan sniping in the rebound. Great, right? And it's still played a lot. It's a B+ moment or an A- moment, right? But they didn't go on and win the cup, so it's not an A moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like Jordan shot his last shot when they won.
No.
Same 7.
But Jordan, and I'm not a Michael Jordan fan because I'm a Knick fan, is also Michael Jordan won 6 championships. And that shot you're referring to, or the game in, I think when it was 1993, when he hit all those threes in the first quarter versus the Utah Jazz in the finals, that team went on to win the championship. That is what this team has not done yet. Now, if this team, God willing, okay, knock on wood, knock on whatever you want to knock on, wherever you're watching from or listening from, goes on and wins the cup, you have a better argument that that moment catapults him to have his jersey retired. And I will say this because, again, people get on me for this, but I'm not going to change my opinion. I'm not the world's biggest Chris Kryder fan. I love that he plays for the Rangers. I absolutely am happy he's there. But I've never, like, for example, I went out and ordered 2 jerseys last week. You want to guess who they were? They came, by the way, they came yesterday. They came from China. This is totally bizarre.
You gotta order without telling me. I would have no.
You wouldn't. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with this. They're always risky, right?
Yeah.
This was unbelievable how quick it came yesterday. But my point is that I didn't even think when I was ordering, and Kryder jerseys are on the website, I never thought, hey, I'm going to get a Chris Kryder jersey. I actually got Panarin and Lafreniere.
You didn't let me guess. I was going to say.
Okay. Well, then you would
have been right.
You've had that. A good comparison on Instagram, even though it's baseball, the Endy Chavez catch where the Mets lost that game to get eliminated in 2006.
There you go.
Yes. That is a perfect example. The Endy Chavez catch is still talked about, and I am not a Met. I'm a Yankee fan, but again, like I don't follow the Yankees like I follow the Rangers, and I don't like the Mets. So if you're a Mets fan, I'm just being honest. I don't like them at all. I kind of root against them. But if I see that catch replayed where he throws it in and Oliver Perez is on the mound, and then he throws it to Delgado, I think it was at first. It's amazing, But an hour and a half later, Carlos Beltran went down on strikes in the bottom of the ninth, and the season was over. So what did it really matter?
It taints that moment. Because when you see that play, you remember that they got eliminated.
Exactly. Right. Now, Chris Kryder's moment, if the Rangers don't win the cup, it'll be a Derek Stepan type moment, right? You know what? Or even, this is an extreme exaggeration. Carl Hagelin winning against the Pittsburgh series in Game 5 on a Friday night in 2015, I think it was, when he eliminated the Penguins from a play behind the net. Again, they went on the next round, didn't go anywhere. But you still remember the play, but it doesn't come as a coupled with winning a championship. So
Michael says you forgot to get Trocheck to complete your jersey lineup.
I should. You know what, Michael, and brings up a good point. I should actually inquire on my next China order to get the Trocheck jersey, because he has been so deserving. We've talked about this all year with Vincent Trocheck, has been so deserving to get his number recognition and credit. I should. And then what I'll do, Michael, is I'll get my son and daughter and wife them also, and we'll go to a game. Like 3 of us will be the line, and the other one will be the odd man out and we'll wear the Zach Jones jersey. They did not have Zach Jones jerseys on the site. That I can tell you. All right, so the Rangers eliminate the Canes in 6 games. Credit to Jenny from the block for predicting that. My pick was Game 7, but we'll take it in 6. And the reason that 6 is better than 7 in this case is that the importance of rest, right? So for the Rangers now, look, Adam Fox is clearly not 100%. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say he's a shell of himself. I think that would be an exaggeration. But he is clearly not himself. So to play on Thursday and then not till Game 1 tomorrow and Wednesday is 6 days of rest. Adam Fox needs that. I'm going to throw out there, and I read something or someone told me something, so this is not like sourced correctly, but I Dougie would get a Rempe jersey. He would, Alvin. You are correct. You are correct. So
Rem sanity.
So where I read somewhere or someone told me that the reason why Panarin had a bad 4, 5, and 6, game 4, 5, and 6 was because he was injured. Now, that to me wouldn't surprise me. Okay.
A lower toe injury.
What I heard, and again, someone told me this, so this is just, I'm telling you what someone told me. Do not take this to the bank.
This isn't a Dan Rosen exclusive.
No, it's not an exclusive. I'm not breaking news here. But someone told me that he got injured. He tweaked something when he did the leg kick after the Game 3 overtime winner, which would be just totally fake. I mean, it would be like you can't make this stuff up. So, and yes, Michael, no Zach Jones jersey. Let's go back before we get into the next series. We'll take Chris's comment. Kryder's number is going up under the exemplifies what it means to be New York Rangers on and off the ice. As he's always at the kid and charity stuff that makes good career numbers, allow numbers in the rafters. Yeah, I mean, certainly. So, definitely. So, as they move on to Florida, is Panarin hurt? Also, Someone commented today, and I was going to talk about this anyway. Someone commented on, we put up the post last night, series predictions, Rangers, Florida, and we'll give ours in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But someone said Kappo Kakko is going to break out in this series. Kappo Kakko has to be playing to break out. I haven't even noticed this guy.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And Nikolai, I think, is watching. I think I saw him in the comments. And Chris and I were having a discussion about picks that happened in the 2019 draft after the Rangers picked Kakko at number 2. Mm-hmm. Now, hindsight is 2020, right? You cannot get on Jeff Gordon for taking Kappo Kakko because at the time, the world was led to believe by not just fans, but scouts too, that, hey, you have Jack Hughes and you have Kappo Kakko, and you can make an argument if you're the New Jersey Devils, you could pick either, which means whichever they don't pick, we're getting the leftovers. So you want to take Hughes? We'll take Kakko. You want to take Kakko? We'll take Hughes. Unfortunately, they got it right. The Devils got it right. So but Kakko at some point here, and I have been probably too extreme on this when we have trade deadlines and off seasons, and I say we're not getting rid of Kappo Kakko because I'm not going to watch him go to the Los Angeles Kings and break out, or go to the Utah, whatever they're going to be, and break out. At some point, and it's got to be soon, the value of this guy is going to be nothing. And I mean, you would like to think at some point he's going to show up in the playoffs, but I have no indication that that's happening anytime soon.
Let me ask you a question. B-Rock can chime in too. In an alternate universe where Kakko and Hughes flipped, do you think Hughes' personality would work with the Rangers? I don't see that happen. You think so?
He would have made a lot more money, and there's nothing against the Devils, but
I just think his personality. He's kind of a younger kid. I think he gets away with a lot at the Devils than he would.
He gets away with a lot
Chris
more.
Kryder would smack him around.
But
right, Brian?
Yeah. And for the people on Instagram, GS3099, if you want to, they're asking about the China jerseys. I actually took a picture of them when they came yesterday. If anyone wants to DM us, I will certainly
bring them in.
I thought about wearing one of it, but look, Jack Hughes would have been, and this is certainly not the topic from today, and thank you, Jen is correct, that on Instagram that Hughes would kill it here. He would have been a franchise center, and it ended up you would have had Mika as your second line center.
I'm not talking skill.
He would have been fine. His personality would have been fine.
Okay.
Probably over time, the personality would have been fine. He may have had to make adjustments, but his personality would have worked here 100%. Right. And he would have been paid a lot more. Do I dare, and I know people are asking for a prediction in the series. It's coming in about 10 minutes, but do I dare ask people what they want to do with Matt Rempe in this series? So Matt Rempe, in the first series, you had Tom Wilson on the other side.
Yeah.
So the argument for Matt Rempe was there. Doesn't mean I bought it, but I understood it, right? And the Capitals were so lesser skilled than the Rangers that they had to play physical, right? And Rempe would be there to neutralize that. It worked. The Carolina series, the few games he played, he didn't do anything. He really didn't do anything at all. And part of the reason why he didn't do anything was Carolina is not necessarily the world's most physical team. So the benefits that Matt Rempe gets you when he dresses in a lineup, he doesn't have anything to offset to show you the benefit. Florida is a different story. Florida is a physical team. Yesterday, I think it was on ESPN, I was looking at some of the predictions for the series, and someone had picked Florida and said the reason Florida will win is Florida will bully you. Like, Florida just bullies teams. And the first thing, and everyone's going to like this because everyone loves Matt Rempe, that I thought of in my head when they said that Florida is going to sit here and bully you, I said Matt Rempe. Then you need Matt Rempe.
You heard it here first.
But wait a second. Just you wait a second. It's going to get better. Let's go. And Rangers Ed, thank you. The only way Florida wins this series is if they bully them. And that is what people are saying. So Rempe is your counter to the bully.
County bully, yeah.
So I could sit here and say to you, because it's going to get fun. Wow. You're going to like this now.
Oh, my God.
You ready?
Clip this, Brian.
No. We're not clipping this. No. I could sit here and tell you, that Matt Rempe could play for Johnny Brodzinski. Fine, right? Good. All is fine. I'll live with it. But there's somebody else now that's back, and he's healthy. You want to guess who?
Hito?
Heedle is, but go further. Well, not further back than Heedle. Who was I not a fan of until he broke his leg in February?
Oh shoot! I know. Starts with a W.
Yep, Wheeler. So now you have the option to get Wheeler in the lineup. Here's what I would do.
Do you want Wheeler in the lineup?
I'm not opposed to it. You know what?
Is this opposite day?
No.
I want Wheeler and Rempe. This is opposite day.
I'm not opposed to Wheeler. Here's why.
Okay.
I'm not saying I want him in either.
Okay.
But here's the argument, and I understand.
Yeah.
If Blake Wheeler is going to take, if they're going to say we're not playing Rempe,
yeah,
and Johnny Brzezinski's taking that slot, and who in the world knows what is going on with Filipino? I'm not putting Blake Wheeler on the top line. But why can't I put Blake Wheeler on the fourth line for a game to see? At least there's postseason experience. Johnny Brzezinski's not doing anything for me, right? So
people are agreeing with me. Who are you this morning?
Yeah. Well, and look, people are killing me on Instagram, and I'm not a Wheeler fan.
Yeah.
But if you told me right now I could have Blake Wheeler for a game to see what he has, or Johnny Brzezinski, what am I going to get out of Brzezinski? I know what I'm going to get. And Wheeler at least has playoff experience. And again, he's not on the top line. He's playing 6 minutes a game here. Relax. I'm not putting him with Kryder, and he's not taking Roslovic's spot. He's not playing with Kryder and Zabinajad where he used to be. So, and people are saying, and I agree, Brzezinski shouldn't even be an option. I agree. So if you take that, then you're left with, here are your options. If Heedle's healthy, Heedle is in the lineup.
Okay.
Done if he's healthy. But I can't even sit here and even imagine he's healthy. With the guy's played one game in 6 months and then he's out again.
Yeah.
So, but if he's there, he's got the priority for that spot.
Okay.
Then you've got Rempe, Wheeler, and Brzezinski.
Yeah.
I actually think my second choice would be Rempe, only because the opponent is so physical, and as Rangers Ed said, they are going to try and bully you.
Yeah.
Rempe is your best answer to stopping that specific situation from happening.
I like it.
But then if I go to option 3 and I have Wheeler or Brzezinski, keep in mind, I'm going to reiterate because people are losing their minds right now, that this is a fourth line role for Brzezinski or Wheeler. I think I'm taking Wheeler.
Let me, knock on wood, we want to move forward, right? If they're so physical, maybe you don't want Wheeler in the next series. So if he gets beat up in this series, you have Brzezinski for the.
Well, as Pink Leonardo just said on Instagram, and he's right, Heedle is the best option. If he's good to go, he's in the lineup. I get it, but I think it would be Rempe. I don't know that it would be Wheeler. Okay. All I'm saying, and people are, I don't know if everyone's listening to me, because all I'm saying that if Heedle can't go and Rempe's not an option, the coaching staff decides it's not Rempe, and I have to pick for that last spot between Brzezinski and Wheeler. And again, I'm picking for one game. I can switch by the next game. Sure. I think I'm taking Wheeler. Brzezinski hasn't done anything.
Wow.
Right?
All right.
So
now, since Florida plays so physical, are you worried that they're going to draw penalties? They're going to draw reaction penalties from us. Like Rempe's going to go head hunting. He gets hit in the shin, and he goes head hunts and draws a penalty.
It's definitely a concern. If you want to believe everything you hear, if you're going to be on like that mindset kind of person, Matt Rempe said that he has worked on that and the coaching staff. But put yourself in an Eastern Conference Finals and it's 2-2 in Game 5 and it's a close game and someone does something dumb to you, because Florida's not dumb, right? Paul Maurice is an underrated coach too. They will try. I am sure if Rempe's in the lineup, they're going to try to get him to do stupid shit. Pardon my French. I shouldn't have done that. I apologize. But they're going to get him to do stupid stuff, right? Because that puts them on the power play. So Florida is not going to sit here and be dumb and just say, okay, well, now if Rempe's in the lineup, we can't play physical and all that stuff. No, there's ways around it
gonna try to draw
that it could work. 100%. Brzezinski was good defensively in Game 6 versus Carolina. He definitely wasn't a liability. Was he good defensively, or was he good defensively because we're comparing him to the rest of the team that didn't show up for 50 minutes? I'm not saying he was bad, but I don't know. Again, Brzezinski in the playoffs has not been good. He's had a good regular season, but I just haven't seen much in the last few weeks. So Kakko should be on the sidelines. We'll take some Instagram comments. Kakko should be on the sidelines. Move Cooley back to the third with Lindbergh and Hedel, Rempe, or Wheeler to the fourth. Could live with that, Gavin. I mean, that's all right. We'll take some YouTube comments from Alvin. The penalties. The Rangers can't stay out of the box for some reasons. They need to start making disciplined decisions. That is true. Penalties in the playoffs, and that's one thing. Like when you look at the Carolina series, and if you're just joining us, I had said that the majority, if you go period for period in that series of Carolina, so you had 18 regular season periods, and you had a couple overtimes. 21 periods I went through yesterday, I had the Rangers winning 8 periods. So the reason they ended up winning, to my point of what Alvin's saying, is because they were very good on special teams in the power play. Yeah. That ended up being the thing.
Absolutely.
So what about replacing Kakko with Brzezinski? Put him on the line with Hedel and Wenberg and put Rempe on the fourth line. All right, so I wouldn't take Kakko out of the lineup, but I'm going to tell you, you just brought up a very sensitive thing for me. Was when the Rangers lost to Tampa 2 years ago in the Eastern Conference Finals in Game 6, and Gerard Gallant took out Kakko. You could make the argument, I guess. Kakko has done nothing. I mean, I'm sorry. I've defended this guy forever, and I'm sure Chris is going to sit here now and say, play the clip of me back in September saying, I think it's going to be the year of Kappo Kakko, which I clearly was wrong on. But I've defended him forever. At some point, I need to lose that defending him.
Yes.
Right? I mean, Kakko does a ton defensively. But you also got to remember, Rangers, Ed, that people are going to look to him, and maybe they're wrong to do this, but he's the second overall pick. So he's going to be looked at to produce something along those lines. He was not drafted second. Now, it's not his fault where he was drafted. Maybe the scouting report on him was wrong. But to be drafted second overall and be told to Ranger fans that it's either Hughes or Kakko, you can't go wrong with either. And Kappo Kakko arrives in Newark Airport. There's videos of this coming in from Sweden after he was drafted by the Rangers in Terminal B in Newark. And he's coming down the escalator in the baggage claim. Yeah. And I guess some Ranger fans got word of him coming, and the place was going nuts. Yeah. Like, people went ballistic for a guy that's
like last month too. The other guy.
Oh, yes. Yeah. But you have to remember, like, if people had the expectation we're going to show up at Newark Airport to cheer his arrival, I'm not looking for defensive numbers on the third line. So, Nick Knack, it's not Kakko's year, it's the Lafreniere, not Lafreniere, Lafreniere. I like that. Very good. And I did get that wrong. I said, and I think I said in the clip, not only did I say that it was going to be Kakko's year, I think I said that I was between the two, which even makes it worse now in hindsight, because I was like, I had the right answer, but I didn't get it right.
50% right.
Yeah. Kakko scores in Game 1 and dedicates the goal to MYPB. Hey, it would be fine by me. You know what? Like, I would love to be wrong. We'll see. Kappo Kakko in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago, Game 1.
He dedicated a game to us?
No, it was Game 1. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. Game 1 was the game in the second period where the kid line, his line with Hedel and Lafreniere, had that shift, and they scored on versus Tampa. The kid line went crazy in the Eastern Conference Finals. So maybe that's where Kakko wants to shine up. Yeah. So, all right. Moving on to Florida.
With timeout. On the subject. We really haven't had the kid line out there together.
Hedel's been hurt since November. Yeah. And Lafreniere's been playing with Trocheck and Lafreniere. Yeah. I mean, Lafreniere with Trocheck and Panarin. Yeah. So no more kid line.
No more kid line.
Which is great because it shows you, speaking of buying jerseys.
Yeah.
Why you have to be careful. Because a couple years ago, I bought a shirt that said the kid line. I thought it was cool that that there were 3 homegrown Rangers. That, Hedel, Lafreniere, Kakko, all drafted, all first-round draft picks, as a matter of fact, playing on a line together, demonstrating the future. And I have a shirt. That's a kid line shirt that is now absolutely worthless.
No, it's an antique now. It's probably going to be worth something in a few years.
It's a collector.
Yeah, it's a collector's item.
All right, Brent. We'll pull up Brent's comment because we're getting the prediction, so this may be a good segue. Looking forward to seeing all the fair weather fans questioning life during the series. Wow. Yes. The further you go, I'm not mentioning names in my life, but it's fine. The further you go on a playoff run, I would assume this is in any sport. This is not just hockey related. I'm going to say something. I got to be real careful here how I say this. So the other night, the Rangers take the lead 4-3. Okay, and
crazy.
my phone during these games, it's awful. Like, and it's also awful because in my real job, which is basically 99% of my life, I am in the worst time of year. I cannot breathe, right? So I've got that going off. I got Rangers stuff. It's nonstop. The other night, when Kryder completed the hat trick and it was 4-3, the amount of text, Brent, that I got from fair weather fans that I didn't even knew who the Rangers were or I've seen for years and have never once spoken to me about the New York Rangers. Oh my God, what a goal. Can they hold on? Are you sure? Are we talking about the same thing? So, all right. Ranger Florida, if you guys want the prediction, I will give it to you. Lafreniere's time on the Trocheck line provided immense benefits. Kakko, yes. This is a good point. Can you pull up Alvin's point? Lafreniere's time on the Trocheck line provided immense benefits. Kakko needs the same type of mentorship and development. Now, where Alvin is right is he's absolutely right on Lafreniere. He's developed intensely this year. It has helped him, obviously, to play with Trocheck and Lafreniere. He's also right that Kakko needs the same type of mentorship and development. The only thing I could say is Kakko was given the opportunity to play with Zibanejad and Kryder, and it didn't foster that. So, all right. So the Florida Panthers, New York Rangers, Eastern Conference Final prediction. All right. This is what I say before every prediction in case you just found us, because we've had a ton of new followers. So I just want to throw this out there if you haven't seen us in the last couple of weeks. I will pick against the Rangers. Nothing I ever do is homer related here. So I may pick the Rangers here, but I may not. I don't want you to go into this thinking he's automatically going to pick the Rangers. Florida made the Cup last year. It is not easy to make the Cup every year. It happens. Tampa's done it, obviously, a couple times. Pittsburgh did it. I think Chicago had a back-to-back year where they won once. It's possible, right? It's not impossible, but it's hard to make the Cup every year.
Yes.
I went back this weekend and looked at Florida through the year. And one thing stood out to me, and it was different with Florida, and I couldn't find this with Carolina, and I couldn't find this with really any of the other teams that you may think is an elite team. Florida had some really bad stretches. In the end of March, which was really 7 weeks ago, they lost 6 of 7 games versus some bad teams. So Florida is capable of going off the rails for a little bit. So that's a little bit different. The other thing I think is huge, in Carolina, when the Rangers went to play there, the Carolina Hurricanes, I guess it's legal, blocked people out-of-state addresses from getting tickets on Ticketmaster. If you have a billing address that's not in North Carolina, you can't get tickets. Therefore, that fuels a home ice advantage. If I could name one place in the country out of the tri-state area where the Rangers have a ton of fans, guess where it is? South Florida. Wow. Because that is the number one places Ranger fans go when they retire. And if you ever watch a game in Sunrise, which is the city that Florida plays in, it is loaded with Ranger fans. And I went on StubHub last night and looked to see how expensive the tickets were down there. They're not expensive at all. So I don't even think Florida is going to have a huge home ice advantage. Bobrovsky is a better goalie than Frederik Andersen, for sure.
Okay.
And when you look at Bobrovsky's numbers, as B-Rock and I did before the show, they're still pretty elite at his age, which is also incredible. Give the guy credit. However, the way Igor has played, particularly in Game 2, well, I'll give you the best example in the Carolina series, still gives the Rangers the better goalie. I'm taking the Rangers in 7.
Wow, Rangers in 7.
But this is a, I mean, if there was ever
because the better goalie,
I'm taking it for the better goalie. I think that Florida is not going to have a huge home ice advantage at all, really, in Florida. That benefits the Rangers. I think it's hard to make the Cup every year. Again, it can happen. It's not that it hasn't happened before. And Florida has had some bad stretches. But this is tough to do. Okay. And Rangers Ed, who's asking me to come down to Florida for Game 3, I guess they're going.
Let's go.
I debated it. Here's my problem. You know what? I'm brutally honest, right? Game 3 is Sunday. My daughter has a soccer tournament that I like. I don't coach, but I help. Like,
that was not an excuse, Jeff. I'm sorry. We're going.
If you want to buy the plane ticket,
I'll get the plane ticket. You get the tickets for the game.
Well, the tickets for the game, that would be the better deal for me because the plane tickets or the tickets for the game are cheaper. Yeah.
Just to go to Florida?
Yeah, yes.
The plane's not an expensive flight.
It was cheaper. It was more.
Half-hour flight.
So first off, I'm not saying it was expensive, but I'm telling you the tickets were cheaper because I looked at StubHub last night. You're not going down. You're not flying a round trip for the place of a ticket. So, and it was, you know what?
125.
Going to where?
Orlando.
Well, that's not going to help you, Doug. You're not driving. You need to go to Fort Lauderdale. You could also go to Miami, I guess, but Fort Lauderdale.
$93. Miami.
Round trip on Memorial Day weekend. Are we sure about this?
Thursday, June 6th.
Okay, you would have missed it. You're going to show up. You're going to show up to the Stanley Cup Finals.
All right. What's today? So we need to go. When do we need to go?
You would need
when
to
does the
go.
Flight need to? We want to get there a day early. When we be
that's
ready.
that's the thing. So you'd have to go Saturday, and that's what Rangers Ed, I guess, is doing. They're taking the 8:50 flight Saturday night from
June 1st.
No,
May
25th. May 25th.
Okay.
And then here's the other problem, though. When coming back, you have a 3:30 game. You can't book like the last flight back at 8 or 9 o'clock. Because what if it goes to overtime or double overtime? You missed your flight.
More expensive.
Yeah, it ain't happening.
$200.
It ain't happening. So the prediction here is Rangers in 7.
We can drive. It's 24-hour drive.
We're not driving.
We can live stream the whole way.
You and I
talking about Rempe.
It'll be a long car ride. Are we there yet? I don't. Yeah, Chris brings up a good point for Rangers Ed. Cousin Ed lives down there. That's right. I forgot he lives in the Miami area. So you guys probably have a place
to stay too.
We're not crashing at his house. Rangers Ed prediction is Rangers in 6.
Well, while they're watching, can we crash at Cousin Ed's house?
Can I actually give
5?
Okay. Well, I was just about to say something, and you literally just ruined it.
What?
You said Rangers in 5, and I was going. I was going to say that I was impressed by people.
Yeah.
Again, being objective.
Yes.
That I haven't seen a lot of people pick either team in 4 or 5. Then you, as I'm about
one sentence before
8 seconds before I'm about to make my point, here comes Brawny manager being called in your flannel today on the comments. I don't know if you saw that before.
My MYPB flannel, baby. They're making a comeback.
It's you, and they're not staying at Cousin Ed, but I'm assuming Cousin Ed's going to the game. I hope Coach Ed is going. If Rangers Ed goes down there, I have one request.
Yeah,
I find like Coach Ed is hilarious. Like I love this guy. I need to at some point. It's sad in life that we all live like. I mean, they're in Long Island. We're in Jersey. We're not that far. Like we could certainly meet up at the Garden. I would love to, but I would love for you guys to get footage of just like Coach Ed at a playoff game on the road, what he would be like. I think it would be really funny.
Absolutely.
So, yes. All right. So that is the prediction. The Eastern Conference Finals now, they do not have any breaks in between. Like they're not adding days. Wednesday night, and every game is 8 o'clock except the Sunday game. So Wednesday night at 8 o'clock at the Garden is game 1 and game 2 Friday night. Series shifts to Florida Sunday afternoon at 3:30. Game 4 will be Tuesday night. Next week, we will be on Wednesday. We'll skip the Tuesday to Wednesday, which if Nikolai's watching, he will like. And the reason we're doing that because game 4 is on Tuesday night. It makes more sense for us to come on the night after, the morning after, and then your 4 games in the series.
Yeah.
My guess at that point would be we're on next Wednesday. And it's 2-2 would be my guess.
3-1 Rangers.
If it was 3-1 Rangers, it's all hypothetical, and I'm going to knock on the wooden desk that the big wigs at Undefeated Media provide.
Yes.
If the Rangers were up 3-1, that would mean Game 5 would be next Thursday at the Garden with a chance to win the Eastern Conference Finals. That would be a really good place to be that night.
Yeah. Let's go.
And I have my son's concert next Thursday.
Why do they do this?
That's the 30th.
Why do they do this?
Well, you know what?
Right, though?
You know what? Let's get there first. I'm not even going to get into that. So a lot of decisions for the Rangers to make. You guys were great today at walking through them. Does Rempe play? Is Filipino coming back? I mean, Filipino doesn't have to earn the spot. He just has to be given the green light, and I'm sure he would play if he was. Does Blake Wheeler come back? Does Blake Wheeler come in this like Hollywood ending, right, out of nowhere and become a playoff hero after I destroyed him for months? I mean, it would be fitting because I praised Kakko. Look, I mean, I've gotten it wrong. Or does Zach Jones come in for Gustafson for a game for some reason and score 2 goals on the power, from the point? So if it's 3-1 Rangers, Jeff wears the flannel and the beanie to the show next Thursday. I don't think it would happen there. At 3-1, you still had work. You would still have work to do.
No, when we win the series, you wear the flannel and beanie.
It's amazing. You know what's like? I was talking with someone the other day, and I was explaining this, and they completely didn't understand what I was saying. So I don't know, maybe if I was speaking Chinese, like where my jerseys came from or something. But I was saying that when you get to the playoffs, right, and you get to this point, all right, I was thinking this during one of the Carolina games. I don't even remember. And I was thinking like, wow, I was screaming at the TV during the Columbus game during November. That meant that didn't really matter. Like, I mean, it did. It got him the President's Trophy and all that. I get it. But like, you realize now the further you get, every shift is so important. Yeah. Every power play is so important. Every penalty kill is so important. It is why people say all the time, and even non-hockey fans say, it is the hardest trophy to win in sports. Is it weird that the Rangers are not on TNT? We are the biggest hockey market right now. I believe they are on ESPN, actually, the entire Eastern Conference.
Isn't that better?
Yeah, they're on ESPN, except for the Sunday games on ABC, because that's the national game on Sunday afternoon.
Sitting in the blue says, don't change anything now.
Yes, we will not. We will not be changing anything. I sit where I sit. I have my.
No, he's talking. I think he's talking about the lines, but
no, he's talking about the. I think he's talking about the flannel
your
and the
underwear.
beanie.
Yes, don't change your underwear.
Yes, ESPN is the worst.
Sitting in the blue, don't change underwear. Make sure the blue underwear is.
Brett, ESPN is the worst. Yeah, I don't know if I like ESPN and TNT. Like, all that stuff is a toss up to me. We all are so biased and partial to MSG, and when it's not Sam and Joe, it's like whoever you give us, we're not going to like.
Do you remember who I was complaining about like 2 weeks ago? Because they were just saying stuff. They were like, just like saying stuff like, "Oh, like the last time the Rangers run the situation, it went horribly wrong." Remember, I was complaining about them.
Yeah.
Was that TNT or was that ESPN?
I think it was TNT, and someone's commenting that TNT is better than ESPN on Instagram too. So, Yep, personal preference. All right, so that is it. Enjoy the game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow night, Wednesday, 8:00, national TV on ESPN, as I just mentioned. And yeah, you know what? You made the Final Four. When you think that there's 32 teams that start, it's impressive, but there's still work to do. And as I have said, there's clips of it from back in the regular season. It's Stanley Cup or bust with this group. So hopefully they can get the job done. We will see you next Wednesday. We thank the Bamboozle Project. Go to thebamboozleproject.com. Type in promo code MYPB. Check them out. And we will see you next week.
Go Rangers.